Hello everyone, thank you for clicking on this channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please subscribe if not subscribed and turn on the notification bell to be notified each time I post a new video. Also, like, share and comment on this video, please. And in this video, I'll be showing you how I made the dress you saw on the timeline. If that sounds like something you want to learn about, please keep on watching. Here I used some leftover fashion fabric, piece of fashion fabric, and doll face material. I used 1 yard of doll face material. Lining, I'll be cutting out 1 yard. I have a lot here. I'll be cutting out 1 yard as well. And 2 on net fabric, I use 7 yards. So the measurement I'll be using is the measurement for a 15-month-old baby. The shoulder is 8 inches and the half of the armhole is 4 inches. The chest circumference is 20 inches. The waist circumference is 20 inches as well. The neck width I'll be using 2 inches, and the neck depth I'll be using 2.25 inches for the front. And I would see if I will use a V-neck line at the back with 5 inches. It depends on how you want it, how deep you want it. And the bodice length, that's the half length from the neck of the shoulder to the half length, is 7.5 inches. You take your own child's measurement, whatever it gives you is what you're going to work with. Then the full length of the gown will be 23 inches. So let's draft out the upper part first. I also have some pearls that I'll be using to design the down parts of the gown. So in drafting our upper part, that's the bodice length, I have a starting line from here to here. So from here to here is the bodice length, that is 7.5 inches. Then an added half an inch to the down part that I'll be using to join it to the skirt part. So from here to here, I have 8 inches. So the first thing I'll do now is to mark out half of the shoulder measurement. And I said the shoulder measurement is 8 inches. So half of the shoulder measurement is 4. I'll mark it like so. And come down by ½ inch from that shoulder measurement for the slope. So from here to here, I came down by 1 inch. And the neck width I'll be using is 2 inches, like I said. I'll be using 2 inches. I don't want it to be too wide. So I will mark my 2 inches. And connect it to the shoulder slope, like so. So the half of the armhole I'm using is 4. So from this ½ inch that I came down, I'll be marking out 4 inches. 4 inches from the ½ inch I came down with. I'll mark it out. So I'll measure from here to here 4.5. I want to get a straight line from here to here. I go 4.5 as well. So I'll turn that into a straight line, and that will give us our chest line. So this now is our shoulder. This is our chest line, and this is our waistline. This is the seam allowance. So what we'll do next is that we'll connect these points to this point. From here, I have from here to here 4 inches. So I'll still measure from here to here 4 inches. And I'll connect the 2 points. So on this chest line, I will input quarter of my chest measurement. That's the chest circumference. I will divide it by 4, and I have here 20. 20 divided by 4, that will give us 5. I will input it there. 5. And I'll add 1 inch seam allowance. 1 is enough. If 1 is not enough by you, you can add 1.5. But I think 1 is enough. Then quarter of my waist measurement as well is 20. My waist measurement is 20, so quarter of it as well will be 5 inches. And I'll add 1 inch seam allowance. You can add as much allowances as you want. And I'll connect them. I'll measure that on my seam allowance line as well. So I'll connect them. So what I'll do next is I'll come on this my armhole depth and measure it. What I have here is 4. Then you divide that 4 by 2. It will give you 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So you take it like so, mark on the 2. Then on that point, you come in by half inch, and you connect from this point to this point, and from here to here. So connect it to this side, and from here to here. You can even use a straight line. From here, you might use a straight line and blend it up. So for my neck depth, for the front, I'll be using 2 1/4, 2.25 for the front part. So my 2.25 is here. Then, but for the back, I'll use a V neckline, and I'll use 5 inches, but the same neck width, which is 2 inches. So from these 2 inches, I'll connect it with a round neckline. A round neckline. I've connected to this 2 inches. Curve it very well. So like this, we are done. The last thing we have to do is to add half an inch to this shoulder part, so that you can join it together. Remember your half an inch seam allowance. So you raise it up by half an inch and raise it up by half an inch. Then you join. So our front part is now ready. So let's cut it out. So we've now cut out the front. This is how the front looks like. The next thing we have to do now is to cut out the back part. And I have a paper here. So the lines I drew here, from here is the starting point. We just marked out the starting point. From here to here is the 7.5 inches plus half inch seam allowance that I'll be using to join to the down part. Here I have 1 inch. This 1 inch here, I'll be using it for my zipper allowance. So my measurements, all my measurements will be starting from here without getting into the zipper allowance. The first thing I'll do, exactly just like I did on the front part, half of my shoulder measurement, which is 4. If you notice, I'm not adding any seam allowance to the shoulder part, though I'll be adding sleeve, but I'm not adding any seam allowance. I don't want it to be too, the width of the shoulder strap to be too wide, so that it will not be falling off the baby's shoulder. So if you're adding a sleeve, just maintain the shoulder, half of the shoulder measurement. But if you are making it a sleeveless, you come in by half inch so that it will sit perfectly on the child's shoulder. So from here to here, I'll come in by half inch for the shoulder slope, half an inch for the shoulder slope. And remember, on the front part, I used 2 inch for the neck width. This is 2 inch for my neck width. I will slant the shoulder. And on this part, I'll come down by 4 inches rather. 4 inches like I did on the front to get the chest line. So this line now is my chest line. So here is my shoulder line, chest line, and my waistline. This is my seam allowance. So, and this is my zipper allowance. So half of my chest line is 5 inches. The chest line I'm using is 20. Half of it is 5 inches, and I'll add a 1 inch seam allowance. The waist circumference is 20. Sorry, quarter of my chest line is quarter of my chest line is 5 inches, because the chest circumference is 20. Quarter of it is 5 inches, and I added 1 inch seam allowance. Quarter of the waist as well is 5, and I added 1 inch seam allowance, just like I did on the front part. 1 inch seam allowance. and I'll bring it down to the waist, join them together. So here I have 4 inches. I'll bring it down to this chest line and mark the same 4 inches to get a straight line. You don't want to get a slant line. So I'll divide this by 2 and it will give me 2 because it is 4. Then for this back part, I don't need to come in by any half inch or whatsoever. I'll just maintain it so I'll connect from here to here. Why won't I come in by half inch? You only come in by half inch on the front part alone, so that the baby can raise her hand freely. So you connect it. So the neck depth I'll be using for my back, remember on the front I used 2.25. You might choose to maintain it. You might choose to leave it at half inch or 1 inch, but I'll be having a V neckline at the back. I'll go as low as 5 inches. You see, I'll go as low as 5 inches for my neckline. So with a V neckline, or let me use this part of the ruler. Connect it. So it's not sharp V. If I'm to use sharp V, I'll use it this way, but I'm not using sharp V. I'm using this V. So what I'll do next is to add my seam allowance to this shoulder. I'll add half inch to my shoulder. Remember that. So now the back part is ready. I'll have to cut this back part. And please, I forgot something. The paper is on fold. Likewise, the front as well, the paper was on fold. So when you open it, you have something like this. You can see. So you put your paper on fold as well as your fabric. This will be on fold. The front part. This was on fold as well. Then I'll cut it out. One more thing that I forgot. On this zip part, I have to come up by half an inch, so that one, it will not budge. You know, the back length and the front length are not the same. So you come up by half an inch and connect it back to this point. Sorry, you come up from this point half an inch and connect it back to this point. So that is what I'm doing here. So it will sit perfectly on the child's back. You know, our back is not straight. You connect it like so and trim it up. This is what my back looks like. So I have to split it into 2. I will use this to cut out the fabric and the lining as well. Likewise, the door face. And I'll do it as well to the back parts. Allowances have been added to this already, so there's no need adding extra allowances when you are cutting it out. So I'll cut it out and show you. So right now I've cut it out using the pattern. This is the fashion fabric, both the front and the back. So what I'll do next is that I'll place it right side facing. Right side facing. You can either secure it to the fabric before placing it like this, but I'm doing it together. If you cannot, pin it down. Always pin down and secure with half an inch. So half an inch on the shoulder. I also cut out the lining. I will do same on the lining and I'll show you. So for my sleeve, what I will do is that I'll come here, I'll measure from here minus this seam allowance. This half inch seam allowance, I'll not be adding it. I will measure it to the place I want it to stop. So like me now, I'll be measuring from here to like 4 inches will be okay for me. So this is where I want my cap sleeve to stop at. I'll bring a new paper here. I want the length of the this cap sleeve to be 3 inches. So I'll measure from here to here 3 inches. I'll add half inch seam allowance to hem it. So from here to here is 3.5. So remember, my half of my round armhole is 4. I will add it here. I will input it on this straight line. 4 inches. From here to here is 3.5. Half inch to hem the down part. And from here to here, I input my half of the round armhole. Then I'll connect it like so with a curve ruler. So having gotten it like this, here on this part, I'll come up by half an inch just to curve it out so it wouldn't be straight. But if you want it straight, that's up to you. But when I come up by half inch and curve it back to this line, so this is what it will give me. So remember, I said from here to here, I want it to stop at these 4 inches. If you want it to get to the armpits, you can use this. But so long as I want it to stop here, I'll come up here and measure 4 inches from here. I will take it down to where 4 inches is. This is where the 4 inches stopped at. So I'll connect this 4 inches to this half an inch that I came up with. Connecting it to the half an inch. If you want it to cover the whole of your armhole, use this. But I want it to stop at 4 inches. So this is what I'll be cutting out. Okay. I'll use this now to cut out the sleeve. This is what my calf sleeve will look like. I'll use it like this and cut out. I've already cut out a piece of fabric. I cut out 2 for the 2 sleeve. Then I cut out the net part of the fashion fabric. If you like, you can use a Bodice material, but I don't want to use this one. So I just cut out this so as to turn it up with this net fabric to have a neat finishing. Likewise, this one, I will sew half an inch here. Remember, I added half an inch for the seam allowance. I'll sew half an inch here and I'll turn it up. It will give me a neat finishing. This is for the sleeve. So for this now, I'll join the shoulder. I've joined the shoulder. Likewise, the lining. So what I will do is that after hemming the sleeve, like so, I'll hem the sleeve, put it like so, and sew it with half an inch seam allowance. Sew the sleeve to this part, half an inch seam allowance. Before I will not place my fabric like this. This is the lining. I will use it and place like this. Right side facing each other. First of all, I'll sew the neckline, sew the armhole, notch it and turn it over. So I'll go right now and sew the cap sleeve. I'll hem the cap sleeve before I will attach it here to the sleeve. Attach it to the sleeve. Then use the lining to close it up. Sew my round neckline, leaving the 1 inch seam allowance for the zip that we left. This is the 1 inch seam allowance for the zip. Sorry. 1 inch seam allowance. You mark it. You do not sew to that edge. So you sew from the 1 inch round before you now sew the armhole, the 2 armhole. Right now I've attached this and also the belt to both sides. What I will do next is that I'll close the side. I will take it this way. The right side of the fabric will be facing each other like this, and the lining will be facing like this. I left 1 inch seam allowance when I was drafting the bodice. I'll use it to close this side. I'll do the same on this part. Fabric to fabric, lining to lining. I'll close it with 1 inch seam allowance. So now I've finished sewing the neckline and the armhole. I'll turn it from inside the front part. I'll turn it like so. You just have to take your time and turn it. So this is what it looks like. I'll take it to the pressing table, then iron it very well. And also, I cut out a strip of fabric. This one is on fold. You measure from here to here, the length of the front waist only. This is 4 inches by, for me is by 12 inches. So I'll place it over like so, like this, and stitch it this way. I cut out another strip of fabric too for the belt. This is each, the length is 22.5, the length, then the width is the same, 4 inches. When I sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance, I'll be left with 1.5. That is, opening it, it will be 3 after taking 1/2 inch from this side and this side. Then folding it like this, I will sew 1/2 inch all the way. This is the back side. I folded it right side facing each other. I'll sew it 1/2 inch all the way, and at this end I just had to slant it to give it that sharp end. I curved it. I'll sew it all around and turn it inside out. This is for the 2 strap, and this one, it is facing wrong side over the wrong side. This is the right side and this is the wrong side, so I don't have to turn anything out. I'll place it like this, sew 1/2 inch here. And for the band, the belt, I'll place it like this one. I'll take it and place it like this. After sewing it, I'll sew 1/2 inch. Okay, let me pin it down. First of all, I'll sew this one down. I'll sew it with 1/2 inch and iron it out. After I must have sewn this, turn it outside. I'll place it like so and sew 1/2 inch here. This is for this side. Place this one like so and sew 1/2 inch. So this is for the 2 strap, the 2 belts. I'll sew it, iron it out, and bring it up. I'll bring it back to show you. So for my skirt part, I will be folding my fabric in a bias form. See, this way. At first, I folded it this way. It's folded like this into 2. Before I now folded it in a bias form, I'll be cutting out halfway for the down part. So I'll fold it in a bias form like so. Take your time and fold it very well. I folded it in a bias form. What I will do next, remember we use the 20 inches for the waist circumference. So that 20 inches, I'll be adding a zipper allowance of 2 inches to the 20 inches. So that 20 plus 2 inches, that will give us 22 inches. Dividing that 22 inches by 3.142, that's the formula for a half circle. We divide it by 3.142. It will give us, so if we were to divide 22 inches, divide by 3.142, 7.001. So I'll be using 7. So from here, this starting point, I'll measure this way. I'll measure this way, 7. I'll be rotating it. I'll be measuring that same 7. Make sure it's not shifting. See, I've measured out 7, so I'll have to join it. So the full length of the dressing is 23 inches. So remember, on the bodice length, we've already minus 7.5 inches. So I'll be taking away that 7.5 inches from the 23 inches. And 23 minus 7.5 gives us 15.5. So the length of the skirt will be 15.5. When you join it to the 7.5 inches, it will give us the 23 inches. So that 15.5 inches plus these 7 inches that marked out from here will give us 15.5 inches plus 7 inches will give us 22.5 inches. So to get the full length of the skirt part, I'll put my tape measure here and mark out 22.5 inches. But remember, this is a skirt part. This is the door face material. This is not the 2. So it will be shorter than the 2. I'll be removing 1 inch from this door face material. But the two will have the complete 15.5 inches. So from here to here, I'll be removing 1 inch will give us 1.5 inches. I don't know if it, okay. So you place your tape measure at this tip and hold it down. Hold it down. And you mark your length. You keep rotating it like you did for the waist radius. (21.5), and you mark it across. So this is what I have. If you measure now, if you measure from here to here, you see that you now have that 14.5 inches that we needed for the skirt part. So I'll join it. So this is what we have. We have to cut here and cut here. So for the two, I'll fold the 2 and mark out a starting point here. I just want to trim it out from here, and from here to here, you see I have the 16 inches that I want. The length of the gown is 15.5 inches, so I'll add a half inch that I will use to join it to the bodice part. So from here to here is 16 inches. See the line here? I'll cut it out. So likewise, this whole length, I'll be cutting out 16 inches. So in this one, I could get three lengths of 16 inches. And I used 5 yards for this particular one. The extra 2 yards, I'll be using it for the one that will be staying on the outer part, the one that I will attach pearls on. So that 2 yards, I will also cut it at the length of 16 inches, and I'll attach pearls to it. This one will be staying inside on top of the door face. So now I've cut out the 3 lengths at the length of 16 inches. I've cut it out, the 3 of them. What I will do next is that I will take it to my sewing machine and gather it, and gather the 3 of them and join the 3 of them. Likewise, for the ones that I will attach pearls on, I will do the same, only that I will double it and be attaching pearls to it. I've gathered the 2 and I attach the pearls on the 2 yards I cut earlier. I told you I'll be gathering the 5 separate and 2 yards separate. So on the 2 yards, I apply the pearls, attach the pearls, and gather it together. With a waist of 22. Remember we said that our waist will be 22. So I gathered it to a waist of 22. This is what I'll be attaching to the upper parts after sewing. So I'll finish joining them together. So the waist now is 22 inches. This is the lining, the skirt part, the lining for the skirt part. So what I'll do, I'll open it, join the lining to the lining like this, right side facing each other. Remember the waist also for the lining is 22 inches. I will join it, I will pin it, and I'll sew with half an inch seam allowance. Half an inch seam allowance. That's what I'll sew it with. Without the fabric itself, it's lining to lining, right side facing. Then for this, I've gathered the two. This is the gathered two, 22 inches. So I'll make sure I wear the zip to stop, and I'll close this part. I'll close the down part and attach the zip to this opening. Then the dress is ready.